The night Mara Costello locked the office door behind us and said, "I think we should talk about this." I expected her to follow it with her usual efficiency, a bullet list, a deadline, maybe a sarcastic comment about my tendency to overthink whiteboard strategy sessions. Instead, she crossed her arms, looked at the carpet, and said something I had absolutely no procedural framework for. "I changed your name in my phone 6 months ago. Every time you text me, I see it, and I don't change it back because I like seeing it too much." That sentence did something quiet to the room. Because for 2 years, Mara and I had been the kind of professional rivals who made departmental strategy meetings feel like competitive chess. We argued over presentation formats. We undermined each other's project timelines with disturbingly accurate risk assessments. We had never once spoken about anything that was not billable. And now we were standing in an empty 12th floor office at 11 p.m. with the city lights below us. And she had just told me she had renamed me in her contacts like I was someone who mattered outside of quarterly reviews. My name is Daniel Park. I'm 34. I work in corporate strategy for a mid-sized consulting firm that specializes in operational efficiency, which is a polite way of saying we tell companies how to do more with less and then invoice them for the anxiety. I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in a building with good light and neighbors I have never spoken to. I run in the mornings because discipline feels safer than meditation. I read nonfiction because fiction requires an attention span I have trained out of myself. I am not looking for love, but I am not opposed to it, which is another way of saying I had been alone long enough to forget I was. Mara Costello was 32, senior associate, the kind of woman who kept a perfectly organized digital notebook and color-coded her browser tabs by project priority. She had dark hair she wore pulled back in a way that looked effortless but probably was not. Sharp brown eyes that missed nothing, and a dry wit that could gut a bad idea in 3 sentences or less. She carried a battered leather portfolio everywhere, brown, scratched, soft at the edges from years of conference rooms and late nights and being shoved into overhead compartments on business flights. It looked like the only thing about her that was not carefully controlled, like the one object she had chosen for reasons that had nothing to do with function. I noticed it the first week she started because it looked expensive once and cheap now and deeply personal, which told me she had owned it for a long time, which told me she was sentimental in ways she would never admit in a staff meeting. We met 2 years ago when we were assigned to the same impossible project with overlapping responsibilities and no clear chain of command. We disagreed about timelines on day 3, then budgets, then methodology, then the definition of done, then everything. By month 2, we had developed a rhythm. I would propose a framework, she would find the flaw. I would revise, she would approve or escalate. It was combative and weirdly effective. The client loved it. Our manager called it productive tension and started assigning us to every high-stakes project that came through the door. What no one called it was what it actually was. 2 people who enjoyed arguing with each other more than they enjoyed being right. That should have been the first sign. The night that changed everything started the way most disasters do, with someone else's emergency becoming our problem. A major client presentation had been moved up 48 hours. The deck was half finished. The data analysis had gaps. Our manager looked at Mara and me and said, "Fix this. I don't care how, have it done by Thursday morning." It was Tuesday at 6 p.m. The office cleared out by 8. By 9, it was just us, 2 laptops, cold coffee, and the particular kind of silence that happens when competent people stop pretending they have boundaries. The air conditioning had cycled down to night mode. The floor was too quiet. You could hear the elevator machinery 3 floors below us, the hum of the building settling into its after-hours rhythm. Mara worked the way she always did, methodical, focused, occasionally muttering corrections at her screen like it had personally offended her. I handled the financial models. She rebuilt the narrative. We did not speak unless it was directly relevant to slide order or citation formatting. But I was aware of her in a way I had stopped pretending was purely professional. I was aware of the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, the way her pen tapped against her notebook when she was thinking through a problem, the way she sighed quietly when she found a solution that satisfied her exacting standards. Around 10:30, I looked up and noticed she had taken off her blazer. It was draped over the back of her chair. She was wearing a gray blouse, sleeves rolled to her elbows, and she looked tired in a way I had never seen her look in a meeting. Not weak, just without armor. She caught me looking and raised an eyebrow. "You good?" "Yeah," I said, "just thinking the formatting on slide 12 is going to make you homicidal." That got the smallest real smile from her. Not the professional one. The one she used when I said something that was correct and irritating. "Fix it before I see it," she said. "I have limited emotional bandwidth tonight." Noted. I said, "I fixed it." By 11, we had a working draft. Mara stood stretched, walked to the window. The city was still lit up below us, cars moving like slow code through the grid. From 12 floors up, the world looked orderly and manageable, like a spreadsheet someone had formatted correctly. "You want coffee?" I asked. She turned, looked at me. Not the usual quick assessment. Something slower. Something that made my pulse spike in a way that had nothing to do with caffeine. "No," she said, "but I think we should talk about this." And then she locked the door. I have spent most of my adult life in rooms where I understood the agenda. Presentations, negotiations, annual reviews, where I knew exactly which metrics would be discussed and which failures would be euphemistically reframed as learning opportunities. This was not one of those rooms. Mara stood with her back to the window. The city lights behind her turned her into a silhouette. Her arms were crossed, but not defensively, more like she was holding something in place, something that would escape if she let go. "Why did you lock the door?" I asked. "Because I don't want anyone walking in on this conversation," she said. Her voice was steady, but her fingers tightened once against her arms. A tell, the kind of micro-expression she would catch if someone else did it in a client meeting. I should have asked what conversation. I should have deflected with something safe and corporate. A joke about overtime. A comment about the deck. Anything that would return us to the known world of professional boundaries and billable hours. Instead, I just stood there like a man whose ceiling had started leaking from the inside. She looked at me, looked away, looked back, like she was running a calculation, and the answer kept coming out wrong, but she was going to say it anyway. "I changed your name in my phone 6 months ago," she said. "Every time you text me, I see it, and I don't change it back because I like seeing it too much." The room went quiet in a way that had nothing to do with sound. I did not ask what she had changed it to. Not yet. I was still processing the fact that Mara Costello, who scheduled her lunch breaks in 15-minute increments and answered emails in under 10 minutes, had done something that sentimental and kept it secret for half a year. "What did you change it to?" I asked. She shook her head once. "That's not the point." "Feels like it might be," I said. "The point," she said, "is that I've been lying to you for 6 months, maybe longer, and I'm tired of doing it." I thought about the last 6 months, the meetings, the emails, the slightly too long pauses before she responded to things that should have been simple. I thought about the morning 3 months ago when I brought her coffee without asking, and she looked at the cup like I had handed her something classified. She had stared at it for 3 full seconds before saying thank you, and then she drank it. And then, 2 weeks later, I noticed she had started drinking her coffee the way I made it instead of the way she ordered it. I had not let myself think about what that meant. "You didn't have to tell me this," I said. "I know. So why are you?" She looked at me the way she looked at data that did not make sense. Like if she stared long enough, the pattern would become obvious. "Because," she said, "I'm standing in an office at 11 p.m. helping you fix a presentation. We both know I could have finished faster alone. And I didn't offer to split it because it was efficient. I offered because I wanted an excuse to stay." She looked away, then back, "Because 2 weeks ago you texted me at midnight about a formatting issue that could have waited until morning, and I answered in under 30 seconds. And you said, 'You're still up.' And I lied and said I was working. But I wasn't. I was reading. And the second I saw your name, I stopped. That landed." I remembered that night. I had been staring at a slide deck that looked wrong, and I had texted her because she was the only person who would understand why it mattered. I had not questioned why she answered so fast. I had just been grateful. I should have questioned it. I thought about all the times we had stayed late on projects that did not technically require both of us. The strategy sessions that became arguments that became collaborative problem solving that lasted until security started turning off the lights. I thought about the afternoon last month when I got passed over for a promotion I had earned, and Mara found me in the break room. staring at bad coffee. She did not ask if I was okay. She just said, "Their loss," and sat down across from me. And we did not talk about it. We talked about a client proposal that was going sideways, and somehow that helped more than sympathy would have. I thought about the morning she brought me a replacement charger after mine died during a client call and said, "You're a disaster," like it was an insult and not an observation she had made because she noticed things about me. She noticed everything about me. "Mara," I said. She held up a hand. "Let me finish, please." I stopped. "I have spent 2 years," she said, "building arguments against this. We work together. We're competitive. We have incompatible communication styles. You overthink timelines and I micromanage deliverables, and we would drive each other insane outside of a professional context. I've told myself all of it, and none of it worked." She stepped away from the window, closer, not dramatically, just enough that I could see her face more clearly under the fluorescent lights. "Because the truth," she said, "is that when something good happens, you're the first person I want to tell. When something goes wrong, you're the person I call. And when I'm sitting in a meeting and someone says something stupid, I look at you to see if you caught it too. Every time." Her voice dropped just a little. "And you always have." Something in my chest shifted. Not dramatically, just enough. "How long have you been doing this?" I asked, looking at me in meetings. "Since the beginning," she said. "I thought you knew." "I didn't." "I know," she said. "You're terrible at reading subtext." That surprised a laugh out of me. Short, real. I have poor survival instincts around women who insult me while confessing feelings. We stood there. Neither of us moved. The office was so quiet I could hear the building's HVAC system 3 floors above us. The soft mechanical hum of a place designed to be inhabited, but temporarily abandoned. Mara was looking at me the way she looked at whiteboards when she was working through a problem. Focused, unflinching, waiting for me to catch up to the conclusion she had already reached. I thought about every late night, every argument that had become something else without either of us naming it. Every time she smiled at something I said, and then immediately tried to hide it. Every time I found myself looking for her in a crowded room, before I had consciously decided to. I thought about the fact that I'd convinced myself our dynamic was professional rivalry and nothing else. Because professional rivalry was something I knew how to handle. Professional rivalry had rules, boundaries, an off switch. This was not that. This had never been that. "What did you change my name to?" I asked again, quieter this time. She shook her head. "Daniel, Mara, what did you change it to?" She looked away, then back. Her fingers tightened once around the strap of her portfolio, which she had not let go of, which she never let go of, which was the one thing about her that was not professional armor. "Home," she said. Too fast, so fast that she heard it after she said it. So fast that I knew she had not meant to say it out loud. She looked like a woman who had just realized her own mouth had betrayed classified information. "That's what you changed it to," I said. Not a question, a confirmation. A thing I needed to say out loud to believe it was real. She nodded once. Yes. The room changed. No, I changed in it. I took a step forward. She did not step back. "You don't have to say anything," she said. Her voice was steady, but I could see her breathing had changed. Shallow. Careful. "We can finish the deck. We can go home. We can pretend this didn't happen." She was giving me an exit door. The way she always did, the way she had been doing for 6 months, probably longer, every time we got too close to something real. I did not take it. "When did you know?" I asked. She looked at me, looked away, looked back. Her fingers tightened once around the strap of her portfolio. "The Morgan Project," she said. "Last spring. You stayed until 2 in the morning helping me rebuild the risk model, even though it wasn't your responsibility. And when I said you didn't have to, you said, 'I know.' Like it was obvious, like of course you would." She paused, swallowed. "And then you fell asleep at your desk around 3 a.m. And I should have woken you up. But I didn't. I just sat there working and listening to you breathe and thinking that I had never felt safer in my entire life than I did in an empty office at 3 in the morning with you unconscious, 6 feet away." Her voice dropped. That's when I knew. Something in my chest cracked open. I remembered that night. I remembered her sitting across from me, exhausted and stubborn, refusing to submit work that was not perfect. I remembered thinking she was the most relentlessly competent person I had ever met, and also the most impossible. I had not admitted to myself why I stayed, why I always stayed. You want to know when I knew? I said. She nodded. Once. Barely, the Harris pitch, I said. 6 months ago. You presented the market analysis and eviscerated 3 of their assumptions in under 4 minutes. And when you sat down, you looked at me like you were checking to see if I had noticed. And I had. I stepped closer. She held my gaze. I noticed, I said, that you were the smartest person in the room. I noticed that you did not need my approval, but you looked for it anyway. I noticed that when something went well, the first thing I wanted to do was tell you. Her breathing had gone shallow, and I noticed, I said, that every woman I've dated in the last 2 years felt temporary, like I was waiting for someone who made sense, someone who argued with me because she cared about getting it right, someone who stayed late not because she had to, but because she wanted to. I stopped, close enough now that I could see the exact moment she stopped trying to hide what she was feeling, close enough to see the pulse at her throat, the way her hands had gone still. It was always you, I said. I just didn't let myself say it. She went still, not dramatically, just still, like someone had hit pause on her entire operating system. Daniel, she said, quiet, like my name was something fragile, something that might break if she said it too loud. Yeah, if we do this, she said, it changes everything. I know. We work together. We'll still have to see each other every day. If this goes wrong, it won't, I said. You don't know that. No, I said, but I know you, and I know that if you didn't think this could work, you wouldn't have locked that door. You would have finished the deck and gone home and kept pretending, because that's what you do when the risk assessment doesn't pencil out. She looked at me, really looked at me like she was running a calculation I couldn't see. We still have to finish the deck, she said. That surprised a laugh out of me. Quiet, real. Yeah, I said. We do. She smiled, small, the real one, the one I had been watching for 2 years without admitting what it did to me. And then she stepped forward and kissed me. It was not dramatic. It was careful, deliberate, the way she did everything. Her hand found mine. Her other hand came up to my shoulder. And for the first time in 2 years, the distance between us closed completely. When she pulled back, she was still holding my hand, like she had done the calculation and decided this was a risk worth taking. We should finish the deck, she said. Yeah, I said. Probably. Neither of us moved. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, laughed once, soft, surprised. What? I asked, asking if we're still here or if they should lock up. What are you going to tell them? She smiled. That we're almost done. Are we? I asked. Almost done? She looked at me, squeezed my hand once. No, she said. I don't think we're even close. 3 months later, we presented the revised version of that same deck to a different client. Mara handled the narrative. I ran the financials. We still argued about methodology. We still drove each other moderately insane over formatting choices and the precise phrasing of executive summaries. The difference was that now, when she caught my eye across the conference table after eviscerating someone's weak assumptions, she did not look away. She smiled. Small, the real one. And I smiled back. A year after that, we moved in together. She claimed 70% of the closet space and reorganized my kitchen like it was a hostile acquisition. She labeled everything: the spice drawer, the pantry shelves, the charging cable drawer that I had previously believed was beyond salvation. I let her, mostly because she was right, partly because watching her label the spice drawer with the same focus she brought to quarterly forecasts was the most Mara thing I had ever seen. She still carried the same battered leather portfolio. It still looked like the only thing about her that was not carefully controlled. It still sat on the kitchen counter every morning while she drank coffee and checked her email before we left for work. I noticed it every day. And every day it reminded me that she had chosen this, chosen me, chosen us. 2 years later, when people asked how we met, I let Mara tell it. She always said the same thing. We worked together. We argued a lot. Eventually, we stopped pretending that was all it was. When they asked when we knew, she looked at me, every time, like she was checking to see if I remembered, like I could ever forget. And I said, the night she locked the office door and told me the truth, because that was when I understood nothing important had appeared overnight. It had simply stopped hiding. I did not fall in love with Mara Costello when she finally stopped arguing with me. I fell in love because she trusted me enough to keep doing it, because she knew I would argue back, because she knew that was how we made sense of things. It felt late in the best possible way. What would you have done if someone you had been professionally sparring with for years suddenly told you they had changed your name in their phone to something that mattered? And have you ever realized you were in love with someone only after you stopped pretending you weren't? Tell me your story in the comments. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.